My name is Niloufar, and my last name is Farzam. I go with Nilu, and I'm abstract and portrait or figure painter, and I work in oil right now, and mostly in abstract and oil. The past 6 years has been just my focus on that. Prior to that, I worked on watercolor and on paper, actually. So it's quite a shift for me, and I absolutely love doing what I'm doing right now. Memory of creating art goes back to very earliest memory of my life. And I can still hear the muffled noise of adults. And, and then my mom hovering over my head, and then my face would be close to my painting and not my drawing. And my mother was a very educated person and teacher and a principal at school. And the other memories from there, that every time during a summer when she did not work, and I would say, well, I'm bored, she will be a stack of paper in front of us and says, okay, paint. And so I was always with a stack of paper, especially in the summer. I grew up in Iran. I was born in Iran. And I left when I was a teenager, and so most of my life I've been in the US, and my adult life, and since high school I grew up here. Really, I consider this one my country now because I'm a citizen of this country, but I always call myself citizen of the world. One of the biggest surprises that I studied science. I was a microbiologist. And so I think that's a paramount difference between art and science. One, which is science is very objective, it's facts and experience based, but art is very subjective and it's very internal. And so I have always have this conflict in my own life that these two dominated and fought each other, and because of the differences between them, the paramount differences. Yet I think I'm at peace with them, first of all, and I guide my life in both ways, as a scientist and as an artist. But later on in my life, I realized that science lights my path, but art warms up my heart. And then also realization that they really do, in the end, what the similarity is that they attempt to understand human life and experiences, or to bring it around the world by science or art. So even there is such a paramount difference between them, but they actually have this similarity, which I adore, that they do. We want it both world of science and art trying to understand humanity. We cannot emphasize the difference, we have to emphasize the similarity. And I think that I always thought these two together in my own mind, and because I was so adamant about one, but then the other side will come and argue with the other. No, this is very subjective. No, this is very objective. But they both have a meaning in our lives. They should, they both have relevancy. Yes, actually, one of my series is climate change. So I'm very familiar with the science of that, but I want to depict it in my art. And how would you depict such a monumental task? And so in my Awakening series, I'm quite adamant. I have over 20 pieces of art that is depicting the disaster of climate change and the global warming and how it affects where we live too in California, and the fires we have had, and human loss from fires. And so it's definitely effective, and that inspires me, and it reflects it in my work. The nod to Jackson Pollock, one of the giants that I adore, and it's really experimental of color and internal to me. It has no reference to real outside world. It's really internal. as an artist, I don't want to be boxed in with any particular style or particular medium. I'm always open-minded, but lately what I'm really working at, if you talk about medium, is oil. And I love the colors, I love the viscosity of it. But before I was in watercolor and all the challenges of watercolor and paper and charcoal drying. So that's where I'm at right now. I love doing painting with an oil and all the drama with it, all the cleaning, all the mess, all the smell. And many artists don't want to do that because of it. But I really, truly love it now. It's one of my passions to do oil paintings. For those who want to go down this path, first thing comes out of my mind is just create. Just create. Enjoy the experience of pure creation. That's what art is all about. And it's a sacred act by itself. And the second thing that always comes, because through all the mentors and learning and schooling, is that I heard this: you have to have your own language. You have to have this Nilu, you have to have this, you can't copy this. You know, have your language, it's solely yours. So I have to go on the wisdom of all the people that taught me to find your own language that is solely yours. And don't go insane over it, you know, because you could, because there's part of us that, you know, have the insanity of, who am I? You know, it's going to be mine. And do your copying, that's perfectly, it's all we're all thieves, according to Picasso. We have to copy before we learn. But yeah, absolutely in the end, find your own language that is solely yours. And keep creating. Enjoy the process. It's a beautiful, sacred process. Art for me is a sacred act. And when I go to my studio, I wanted to bring to the viewer the experience that I've experienced, or life experiences, or the truth that is within me and outside of me, and the beauty of the life by itself. And also wanted the viewer to escape from all that. So it's all in it, as objective and subjective. And with this current tension we have with pandemic and all the life of George Floyd that passed away, the Black Lives Matter, is very important as an artist to come and state that truth. We can't be, history has shown that we as a group, not just painters and not just the poet, not just the writer, not the dancer, all the artists as a group, we have been historical, I would call them historical markers. So we have to state this truth, what's happening right now, how it's affecting all the people. It all affects us as artists, and we don't get a job, we don't show in an exhibition, we don't sell our art. So, but it's still that sacred part of us to have to make that political statement, that this is what happened to us in this 2020, for example, when a generation comes and passes. So, oh, this is what they felt. This is how the life was observed. This is what pandemic was about. This is what the life of a Black was in the United States, and brutality of police. Those has to be depicted in our work, because we are the truth seeker. We are the creative of that time that will reflect later on in the next generation. So I think even with economic situation we have and a climate we have, art is a sacred art and is definitely important. It is unquickable. I cannot even emphasize and underline it, how important it is to we as an artist to bring this forward for the viewer and the world. Here for a couple years, and you know what? Honestly, the first thing that I noticed is size of the gallery and how many galleries within a gallery. That was quite astonishing for a really moderate sized town, and to have this beautiful setting, beautiful center, and dedicate to art, and so many of it, so many rooms of it. And that really took my breath. I was very surprised because I live in Bay Area. And so I have to drive there and see it by myself. And I've been there many times in Sacramento, Roseville area. That was one. And I was really appreciated for a small community to have this very huge space. And I think that the next, and probably as parallel to the first, was this as like yourself. I still remember you the first time I met you. The enthusiastic, young lover of arts that represented the gallery. How you were receptive to me, and you still remember me, and that's phenomenal. Really, that's like really warms up my heart to know that artists are appreciated and loved and cared, and a lot art lovers or people that are running the facility is receptive to us. I think that's brilliant. Please, it is totally my pleasure. I'm delighted to be here and share a little bit of my side, and hopefully just like, I love the wisdom you ask, and I don't know I have that much, but I guess I do. So many years being at it, and to share that with others, and also the art lover, the art collector that are out there, to hear the human side of the artist, not just the person, she or he, that is, especially a woman artist, because we only represent 6% of the artist group. And that should go higher to me. That should be more represented. And it's where you are one of the receivers. And so I think that I will leave that to that. That is, we women artists has to have a voice now too. Let's interview them. Let's see them.